Hey Creagears, Robo here and welcome back to the second video of this year's Custom Amiibo Month. For this video we're continuing with the bosses from Salmon Run with everyone's favorite stressful night mode barbecue, the Griller. Yes sir! First thing to do was to make the body for the Griller. For this I had some of these paint cans laying around with these specific tops for each color and I thought this would be a great base for the body of the boss. So I carefully used an X-Acto knife to cut open the top and I also cut a matching circle from some foam boards to seal up the middle. And I used hot glue to attach everything. Then we made an additional one for the other side. I was hoping no one would notice. Fair. Next I grabbed the X-Acto knife again and used it to make some panel lines into the caps, since these were also visible on the Griller model. Next I cut out a circle of 2mm foam to glue to the underside to make the seal between the halves. And this I glued to the underside with some hot glue. With a bit of trimming to make it perfect. And I used some metal wire to make the tiny little handle on the top of the Griller. Next I drilled out a wooden dowel to make the chute that comes out of the back of the Griller for the Smallfry. Finally I started on the wheels of the machine. For this I used a hole punch on some 5mm foam to make two sizes of wheels, and I used some more metal wire for the legs. And these I bent until I was happy with the shape. Then I drilled some holes into the bottom half and glued the legs in place with some super glue. Then I attached the wheels and trimmed the legs to size. Next I made the air inlet adjuster. For this I cut out the shape of some 2mm foam and drilled 4 holes into it. And I cleaned these up with a bamboo skewer. Then I glued it to the front of the top. But to finish it, I used a grind bit on my Dremel to sand out a hole on the back for the fishtail to come out. That finishes the body. But for a bit of extra WVD Creations flair, I used a cap from another type of spray paint to make the water that leaks out of the Griller with a lot of transparent hot glue. For this I made the dripping water effect by hand. And after the glue had dried, I could easily take it off the plastic cap. To continue on the details, I took the chute we made earlier and put some different sizes of 2mm foam onto it to finish the look. Next I cut the end to fit onto the bottom half. And glued this on with some more super glue. As an extra part for the Griller, I grabbed a small little red LED, which I bent the legs up, and glued it together with a bamboo skewer into some 2mm foam to make the laser of the Griller. After this was made, I used a large drill to make the hole for the wiring to go through later. As a final detail, I used these coffee stirring sticks to make the 3 barbecue tools that hang off the left side of the machine. First the spatula. Second the fork. prefer the tongs. After these were all made, I glued them to a main board to be later attached to the griller. So we made some of these small fries to accompany the griller. With these I started by making the spoon. Then preparing 2 little balls for the eyes, and 3 little triangles for the fins and a bigger one for the tail. Then for the body I rolled one end of a ball into a point and squished this to one side. After this I cut a slot into the point to make the mouth of the Smallfry. Then I attached the eyes, the fins, the tail, and at the end I wrapped one of the fins around the base of the spoon. And as a final thing to clay, the fishtail. For this I rolled out a cone from some white epoxy clay. Then I flattened another piece to make the end from a half circle with a thicker edge. Then I used a tool I made from a small piece of metal wire to use as a stamp to make the scales of the fish. Then I squished the front into the hole of the top to make sure it fits, and to finish it up I made some little fins that will also stick out of the griller. Then finally it was painting time, with a base coat of black for everything. And after that we're directly starting with a mix of silver, black and some green for the body of the griller. Next I got some normal silver to use on the barbecue tools, and for the air inlet valve, and the edge of the seal. We also used some silver on the legs, and later on I will also use it on the wheels as a hubcap. And the other end to finish up the tools. Next I paint on different shades of pink mixed with a red and a skin color to make the gradient of the fishtail. This can start quite like a purple at the tip, but get very light with a pink and skin color at the bottom. When the tail was drying, we finished up the tools with a new black layer over the paper handles. Then the earlier mentioned silver hubcaps. Next we can work on the small fries, starting with some salmonid gray. If you want to know how to make this color, it's a mixture of 3/4 black, 1/4 brown and a bit of blue. And this I use on all the bodies of the Smallfry. But I need to let this dry first, so I use some dark green mixed with black and a natural green and dry brush a tiny bit on the bottom of the griller to make some algae. Also on the top, which finishes that part. Next I take a mixture of the same dark and natural green, but without the black, to make the ink of the sandwich, which I apply onto the base. I even use some of these coffee stirring sticks to make some tire tracks in the ink while I was making this part. All for the little details. Continuing on with the green, I use a pure natural green for the lower sections of the chute. Then we can finally return to the Smallfry, which are getting a white base coat for all of the bright colors they're going to be getting. But since those also have to dry, we can quickly add some silver to the higher parts of the chute, which have some superglue rivets added. Returning to the Smallfry for a coat of natural green on the pants and the spoon. Then we use an orange on the back fin, a red pink for the mouth, and a few touch-ups before finishing the eyes with a coat of white with yellow. And finishing up with some orange eyes with black pupil. Always fun to add the eyes. It really brings the character to life in my eyes. Then for a very special paint job, the water. For this I got a very special paint with a high amount of pigment added to only have to add a small layer to add color to retain the transparency. It also has the quirk that it gets darker in the crevices like a wash, which can add even more character to the toxic water of this barbecue. Then we can get to the little bit of assembly, starting by adding the tail to the top with some superglue. To liven up the amiibo details even more, we almost forgot to add the acrylic wash over the ink, the water, the tail, and the eyes of the Smallfry. To finish the amiibo, we add the water to the underside with some hot glue. Same for the tools to the top side of the griller. Then we use superglue to the wheels to attach the griller to the base. And to add the 3 little Smallfries between the wheels. And with a little more electrical work to add a laser and more off camera, we can finally announce the Griller Custom Amiibo finished!
Sure.
Hey Creagears, Robert here, and thank you for watching the video all the way to the end. Before we go, we want to say thank you to all of the Creagears which helped us to reach our new milestone of 300 subscribers. Like I said, thanks a lot to all of you, and we hope we will be able to continue making even more amazing creations to be able to show you guys. But for now we have to go. Keep those gears turning, and we will see you in the next video.